Imagine your neighborhood plunged into darkness for an entire week. No lights, no internet, no functioning appliances. How would daily routines transform? How would people adapt, cooperate, or face challenges in such a scenario? This video explores the profound impacts of a prolonged power outage on modern communities. We'll examine how crucial services like communication, transportation, and healthcare are disrupted, and how neighbors may come together to find creative solutions. You'll gain insights into the ripple effects on businesses, schools, and social interactions, and also learn about strategies to prepare for such events. Could a week without electricity bring out resourcefulness, resilience, or shared humanity? Or would it expose gaps in readiness and community cohesion? Join us as we uncover what happens when the lights go out and how neighborhoods might evolve in the face of adversity. Day 1, the initial shock. Day 1 of the power outage begins with confusion and denial. Most people wake up assuming the blackout is a minor inconvenience, something that will undoubtedly be fixed in a few hours. They casually go about their morning routines, but the absence of electricity begins to disrupt even the simplest of tasks. Alarm clocks fail, hot showers turn cold, and coffee machines sit lifeless on the counter. Phones are the first resource people turn to, but spotty signals and draining batteries soon render them useless. Panic starts to mount once the realization sets in that the outage isn't localized. Radios, for those who dig them out of storage, buzz with fragmented reports of widespread power loss. Supermarkets quickly become chaotic as unprepared families flood in, grabbing whatever is left on the shelves. Essentials like bottled water, canned goods, and batteries disappear in minutes. Many people gather in parking lots or near stores, trying to connect with others or make sense of the situation, but there are no answers, just rumors and growing tension. Meanwhile, traffic devolves into a mess. Without functional stoplights, main roads turn into sites of accidents and frayed tempers as drivers argue over right-of-way. Commuters unable to work due to inaccessible offices or canceled public transportation begin streaming back home, adding to the growing congestion. Gas stations are already the next flashpoint, their pumps dead without power. Long lines form at the few stations with backup generators, and tempers flare as shortages are announced. At home, refrigerators warm and lights stay stubbornly off, making it clear there's no quick fix. Children complain about boredom with no internet or TV to entertain them, while adults grope for alternate solutions. Flashlights, candles, and power banks are frantically sought, but most homes are ill-equipped for the sudden change. For families relying on medication or medical devices, the sense of urgency skyrockets. Neighbors who previously only exchanged polite greetings now knock on each other's doors, either to ask for help or to share newly discovered pieces of information. By nighttime, the reality of the situation begins to sink in. With nothing to do but stare into the dark, many start reflecting on their lack of preparedness. Anxiety hangs heavy in the air. The initial shock of day 1 leaves people rattled, though most still cling to the hope that power will return tomorrow. They have no idea what's really coming and how quickly everything will shift. Day 2, escalation and scarcity. By day 2, the cracks in society start to show. ATMs are no longer dispensing cash, leaving anyone without physical currency at an immediate disadvantage. Grocery stores are complete chaos. Shelves that were once fully stocked are now emptying at an alarming pace with no sign of replenishment. People fight over basics like bread, water, and canned goods, driven by the fear of going without. Lines stretch out of the door, and tensions boil over into arguments and even physical altercations. Trust between strangers starts to erode, replaced by desperation and suspicion. The psychology of scarcity becomes painfully evident. People begin hoarding whatever they can, panicked by the thought that supplies might not last. Logic gives way to fear as carts fill with impractical or redundant items, anything that offers even a small sense of security. This irrational behavior only worsens the scarcity problem, creating a vicious cycle. Those who arrive late to the stores are met with empty aisles and the daunting realization that they'll have to look elsewhere or face going without. For those who prepared ahead, the priority shifts to staying out of the spotlight. Flashy or bulk purchases can attract dangerous attention, so strategic preparation becomes key. Essentials, batteries, non-perishable food, clean water, are collected methodically and in moderation to avoid arousing suspicion. Venturing out too often or appearing overly stocked is a mistake that could make you a target. Meanwhile, the neighborhood dynamic grows tense. People who were once friendly begin eyeing each other warily. Conversations dry up, replaced by curt exchanges or no interaction at all. Families barricade themselves indoors, worried about potential looting as desperation deepens. Every decision feels calculated: when to leave home, what to take, and how to keep resources safe. The feeling of normalcy is gone. Day 2 is the start of a serious shift toward survival mode. Preparedness is no longer a distant concept. It's now the dividing line between control and chaos. Day 3. Reality sets in. By day 3, the inconvenient reality of living without power begins to fully sink in. The novelty is gone, and what's left is stark and unsettling. Any expectations that normalcy will return quickly have been dashed. It's no longer just an interruption. It's a transformation of daily life. The food in refrigerators and freezers has now started to spoil. The air is filled with the faint stench of decay as trash piles up faster than it can be managed. Without functioning garbage services, the streets start to take on an unkempt, almost post-apocalyptic appearance. This isn't the tidy neighborhood you once knew. People who had stocked up on bottled water are suddenly realizing they've underestimated their needs. Long-forgotten survival instincts kick in as families start rationing what's left. The search for resources intensifies. Gas stations have been empty for days, and grocery store shelves are bare. Backup generators, if any, begin to run out of fuel, and with them goes the last semblance of connectivity or comfort for some homes. Tensions between neighbors grow more noticeable. That friendly wave from next door turns into a side glance laced with suspicion. Everyone is struggling, and the mindset of survival begins to override community spirit. You hear arguments in the distance, sharp reminders that desperation uncovers humanity's rawest edges. Politeness fades quickly when resources are short. Hygiene becomes a daily challenge. With no hot water or reliable sewage systems, washing is mainly limited to necessities. Toothpaste becomes a precious commodity, and creative solutions emerge for keeping clean. Bucket baths, baby wipes, or whatever's at hand. Illness starts to feel like a looming threat. Without electricity, your access to healthcare or refrigeration for critical medicine is non-existent. Nighttime grows darker and more unnerving. The hum of modern life is replaced by silence, broken only by voices or the occasional crunch of footsteps on gravel. Security concerns become real as people start to consider how to protect themselves from theft or worse. Locked doors and drawn curtains echo a growing fear. By this point, the routine of normal life is completely dismantled. The harsh truth is undeniable. Survival now depends on planning, resilience, and an ability to adapt to an unpredictable, unforgiving environment. Day 4. Desperation and danger. By day 4, desperation takes hold of the neighborhood and danger becomes an undeniable reality. People who initially banded together for comfort are now dividing into groups, those with supplies and those without. The ones who have no food, water, or their essentials are growing increasingly agitated and unpredictable. Hunger gnaws at their judgment. Thirst drives irrational behavior. Trust is evaporating as quickly as the contents of your water reserve. Looting begins in earnest. At first, it may be the abandoned or obviously vacant homes that become targets, but this quickly escalates. Once the easiest targets are emptied, the more visible or better stocked homes are next. If you haven't already reinforced your entry points, you are now a glaring target. A locked door doesn't stop a hungry group armed with makeshift tools. Boards, barricades, and hidden supplies are the only things standing between you and chaos. Don't expect help from the authorities by now. Resources like police or emergency services are stretched too thin or have completely fallen apart. You are on your own, and 911 is nothing more than an unresponsive number you used to rely on. Gunshots at night are no longer surprising. They're grim reminders that neighbors, people you may have once shared BBQs with, are now turning on each other just to survive. Keeping a low profile is non-negotiable. If you're fortunate enough to still have supplies, showing them off is an invitation for confrontation. A lit candle in your window or the scent of food cooking could draw unwanted attention. Every decision, from the noise you make to how you dispose of trash, must be calculated. You can't afford to attract notice when desperation has stripped people of empathy and morality. By this point, survival is your only goal. Community bonds are collapsing, and every trip outside your home brings the risk of violence. Paranoia isn't just normal, it's necessary. Day 4 is when the true gravity of the situation sets in. The neighborhood you once recognized has transformed into an unpredictable and hostile environment where danger can come from anyone at any time. Your survival depends on preparation, caution, and an unyielding awareness of the world around you. Day 5. Lawlessness and self-reliance. By day 5, any remaining sense of order has completely crumbled. Law enforcement is either overwhelmed, scarce, or altogether absent. Without power, communication with authorities becomes impossible, and what remains of organized response teams will no longer reach anyone outside of key areas. The rule of law is no longer in effect in any practical sense. Your neighborhood has become lawless, and survival depends solely on your ability to prevent others from taking what is yours. There are no emergency services to call, and no one is coming to help. Looters and opportunists will be a constant threat by this point. Homes and businesses that show any sign of supplies or value will become targets. If you were visible during the first few days, by using power generators, sharing resources freely, or flaunting your supplies, your home could now be at the top of their list. People become increasingly desperate as hunger and fear set in. Acts of violence are no longer unthinkable but common and ruthless. What happens outside your home is completely unpredictable and dangerous. Self-reliance is crucial for survival. At this stage, you need to be prepared to physically defend your home. Passive defenses, like reinforced doors and concealed resources, are key to keeping potential intruders at bay. If anyone does break in, you must be ready to respond swiftly. And the sad reality is that the confrontation may not end without violence. A firearm or alternative weapon could mean the difference between life and death. The stakes are that high. Additionally, securing food and water becomes increasingly dire. Stockpiles will start depleting quickly if not carefully rationed, and scavenging outside is a risky endeavor. Every trip away from your home exposes you to threats, whether from roaming criminals or others competing for scarce resources. You can only rely on what you've planned and stored yourself. Anything else is uncertain. On day 5, the collapse is not hypothetical. It's here. What seemed extreme and unlikely just a few days ago is now your life. If you weren't prepared, this reality is harsh and unforgiving. Those who survive day 5 do so because they planned for it. This day is a sharp reminder that in a true crisis, self-reliance is your only guarantee of safety. Day 6. Social fragmentation. By day 6, the cracks in the social fabric of your neighborhood become impossible to ignore. What used to be a supportive community now feels like a battleground. People divide into distinct groups. Cliques form around those with resources, survival skills, or just similar mindsets. Trust becomes a rare commodity. Neighbors who once exchanged pleasantries now eye each other with suspicion, weighing whether a smile hides ulterior motives or a desperate plan. Stress heightens tempers, and every glance or word feels charged with unspoken tension. You'll face a harsh reality, deciding where you stand in this fractured landscape. Staying isolated might protect your autonomy, but it also leaves you vulnerable when cliques consolidate power. Joining a group could provide security in numbers, but it often comes at the cost of your independence. Every choice is a gamble with its own set of risks. Relocating? That's its own nightmare. Moving alone in such an unstable environment forces you to trust strangers or wander aimlessly in search of an unknown, better situation, all while exposing yourself to potential danger at every turn. Interactions lose their civility entirely by now. Every encounter, whether it's about sharing resources or setting boundaries, turns into a negotiation for survival. Can I borrow a flashlight? May sound innocent, but it's often a pretext for assessing your vulnerabilities. Even routine exchanges like offering to help move debris might have hidden agendas. The ability to read a situation quickly and judge intent becomes as essential for survival as food or water. Besides paranoia, there's desperation. Some groups descend into outright rivalry. Whispered conspiracies, hidden alliances, and even theft or violence become the new norm. Resource-rich households are targeted, either subtly through group manipulation or overtly with intimidation. Those who can't keep up or refuse to adapt are discarded, left isolated in a rapidly hardening social hierarchy. Day 6 doesn't just strip away comfort and convenience. It exposes the raw reality of human behavior under pressure. By the end of the day, you might wonder whether the power outage was the real disaster, or if it's the people around you. Day 7, the new normal. By day 7, the initial chaos has settled into an uneasy routine. Your neighborhood has officially transitioned into the new normal. The absence of power is no longer a shock. It's a reality. People have stopped asking when the lights will come back and are instead figuring out how to make this way of life work. The ones who have adapted quickly are thriving. Those who haven't are struggling or becoming liabilities. Communication with the outside world is practically non-existent. Smartphones are dead, and any emergency radios are delivering nothing but repetitive, vague updates, if you're lucky enough to hear anything at all. News from neighboring communities consists of rumors passed by word of mouth, and none of it is encouraging. You're cut off, and it's clear no one is coming to fix this anytime soon. Food supplies are dwindling fast. If you didn't prep long-term food stores, you're relying on scavenging or bartering. By now, shelves in stores have been stripped clean and there's no shipment to replenish them. Fresh food has spoiled, forcing people to rely on canned goods, dried foods, or whatever they can hunt, fish, or grow locally. If you haven't learned to ration properly, you're already facing dangerously low supplies. Desperation is starting to kick in for some, and that makes every trip outside your home a calculated risk. Security is also a growing concern. With no reliable law enforcement, petty theft has become common, and in some areas, it's escalating to outright violence. You'll hear of break-ins and robberies around the neighborhood, and the underlying tension is palpable. Locks and fences are no longer enough. You've had to rely on fortifying your home and constantly staying alert. Those who organized with neighbors early on and built a network for defense are better protected. Isolation makes you an easy target. Social dynamics have shifted completely. People who were once strangers are now your lifeline, and trust is both invaluable and fragile. Helping each other has become a matter of survival, but alliances always have limits. If resources run low, shared goodwill can dissolve in an instant. Day 7 is a grim reminder that adaptability is survival. The weak are being weeded out, and the resourceful are finding ways to push through. This is no longer the first week without power. It's the first glimpse of life beyond it. As the days stretch into weeks, one thing becomes clear. Life without power is a test of resilience, ingenuity, and the strength of human connections. The bonds within a community face incredible strain, yet they also hold the potential to inspire hope and solidarity in the face of hardship. This new reality forces everyone to reassess not just how they live, but how they survive together. Adapting to the challenges of a powerless world highlights the fragility of modern convenience and the enduring strength of human perseverance. The future may be uncertain, but it's in the hands of those willing to adapt, support one another, and find light in the darkness.